The first Rashi in Chumash presents a most interesting question. He asks, why is it necessary for the Torah to begin with Bereshis? And, that question seems to bother many people. Well, of course, where else do you start except with Bereshis Bara, the first thing that God does? So there's a variety of disagreement among the commentators what exactly is Rashi's question. Whether he was asking why begin with Bereshis, why not put Bereshis later? It really should begin with the first mitzvah because the book of the Torah is really a book of laws. There's a variety of how people understand the question. But Rashi answers this question of why the Torah begins with Bereshit is the Koach Masav Higid La'amo. He quotes a verse from Tehillim, which is that the strength of his creation, the Koach Masav, the greatness of his creation, told the nation of Israel, Higid La'amo, to his nation, in order to give to them the inheritance of the nations. The way Rashi understands it is that the reason the Torah began with Ma'aseh Bereshis is to tell you that since God created the world, it's all His, and therefore He can give that land to anyone that He meets His wishes, anyone that He wishes to give that land to. Now the truth is the Canaanites, the Bnei Canaan, occupied Eretz Yisrael before it was conquered by Yeshua. In fact, though, it actually was a land that was promised to Shem. And the Canaanites that were on the land were actually stolen from Shem, from the descendants of Shem. Bnei Yisrael, as descendants of Shem, were the rightful inheritors of the land. It was their land. And therefore, when they went into the land with Yeshua, they were basically taking back what was theirs. But the bottom line is that still, God's land, it's all God's land. And therefore, because it's all God's land, He can give it to whoever He desires to give it to, who's found favor in His eyes. The Canaanites were also one of the most wicked people in the history of mankind. And it was appropriate for Bnei Yisrael to get this land, this beautiful land of Eretz Yisrael. It's an interesting idea, but there's a tremendous problem in Rashi's statement. He says that, therefore, if anyone comes to the Jewish people and tells them that they are thieves, listim atem, that you are thieves, we can say, what are you talking about? God created the land, the state in the Torah, God created the land, and He can give it to whoever He wants to. You know what's strange about that answer? Is that who says that the nations of the world will believe that God gave it to the Jewish people? Because it says in our book, in the Chumash, in our Torah, that God gave it to us? Well, if you accept the Torah, if you accept the divine origin of the 5 books of Moses, well, you're going to accept it a little bit. And there are people in this world, Christians, certain fundamentalist Christians, who say, yes, it says in the Torah, it says in the Bible, God gave land to Jewish people. Therefore, it's the Jewish people's land. But, let's face it, many, many people don't accept the word of the Torah. And more so, there's another religion that is our main adversary in Eretz Yisrael that clearly doesn't accept the truth of the Torah. So we're going to go to a Muslim and it says in the Torah, it's our land. Hey, we're right to take it? They'll look back at us and say, what are you talking about? I don't believe that book. It's really our land based upon their faith. So what is Rashi saying? That God wrote Ma'aseh Bereshis, told us Ma'aseh Bereshis to tell the world that the Jewish people have a right to the land? That's why Rashi's quote of that pasuk in Tehillim is so right on. Koach Masav, the greatness of his actions, of His creation. Higid La'amo, told His nation. In other words, you, the nation of Israel, the Bnei Rachamim, the people who are caring, the people who want to be just, as God said, when he was considering telling Avram Avinu about what happened in Sodom, He says, I know these people the Jewish people, He will teach His children to Oseh Tzedakah u'Mishpat. tell the Jewish people to give charity and to do justice. The greatest issue for us is to make sure that we are meeting our standards, the standards of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That we understand that justice is our position. We understand the caring nature of our position, the understanding of what is really going on within the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, within the eyes of God. Koach Masav Higid La'amo. The reason Ma'aseh Bereishis begins a Torah is not so we have arguments for the rest of the world, is so we know. We have our arguments. We recognize that what we fight for meets our standards, the standards of Torah. And therefore, because we may question ourselves, is it right for us to go in? And was it right for Yeshua to go in and take that land? Was it right to say that's our land? Yes, it was right. It is right. Koach Masav Higid La'amo. Because we know about the creation of the world by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that He has the right to give the land to who He desires to give that land to, which, in terms of Eretz Yisrael, is Am Yisrael.